if you are 25 years old, you are really just entering the path into adulthood. You want to be thinking about future you, because future you is going to have worse quality sperm. Future you is going to be more likely to face infertility. Future you may have had an STI. You may be one of those 1 million Americans every single month who's getting an STI. Future you may have had an accident. Future you may have had cancer, God forbid. Future you may be in the military. You may be deployed off in Afghanistan or somewhere, right? So be thoughtful about who you want to be in the future. And if you think you might want to have a family someday, then you should be freezing your sperm.
Health, fitness, mindset, nutrition. Live better and longer. I'm Saad, and let's hone in. So I guess when you start thinking about where this industry goes, I want you to fast forward 5, 10 years and tell me where are we in regards to men's fertility, and more specifically, maybe, actually let's start there and then I have a second follow-up.
Sure. Oof. Okay. Well, if I look out, or when I look out 5 or 10 years into the future, which is, it's a big part of my job, first of all, sperm freezing is following the same path and momentum and trajectory as egg freezing. Mm-hmm. There's a huge difference between the two, though.
Yep.
Egg freezing, difficult, expensive, invasive. Yep. And you can, yes, queen, you got this, all you want. But at the end of the day, you are going in for a surgical extraction of your eggs under anesthesia with a doctor.
Hold on. Yeah. That is not guaranteed at the end of the day.
That is not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed.
You don't know how many eggs you're going to end up with. I mean, it is a brick and mortar, in-person, complex procedure.
That has a by the way, 3-week lead up to it.
Yes.
Very focused.
You're basically simulating the early stages of pregnancy.
Yep.
You're injecting yourself every day. So all this to say, you're doing all of that, and by the way, you're paying $10,000 or more for the privilege of doing all of that. You compare that with sperm freezing, which entails you masturbating at home.
Sounds fun.
Scanning a QR code.
Sounds fun.
You're already doing one of those two things.
Yep. So I'm
scanning.
I was going to say I'm scanning QR all day long. I wake up in the morning and I scan a QR code.
Once a week. I mean, everyone scans QR codes at different paces.
Yep. Once again, God, this is such a fun company to build because there's so many ways to rip off it.
And so, as I'm edging towards a very serious topic,
you're
doing it anyway. And by the way, the cost is not $10,000. You're paying a couple $100 up front. You might not even be paying out of pocket at all.
Yep.
You're paying less than $100 a year for the freezing, right? And so the path we're on is very clear. In the future, legacy will be the norm. Mm-hmm. Every man is going to freeze his sperm. Every person who produces sperm will freeze it, because I want to make sure we work a lot with the trans community. Mm-hmm. And so we have a lot of transgender women who are born biologically male and will freeze their sperm before transitioning. So any person who has sperm will freeze it.
Yep.
And you're going to do this at a younger and younger age, especially as we learn more about the sperm count declines, more about the effects of chemicals on us, more about the increase in infertility. It becomes a no-brainer. That is the biggest change that I see, and I see it happening very, very quickly.
What's really interesting about this specific problem is that there are not a bunch of 25-year-old men, which is arguably when your sperm is healthiest, sitting around and thinking about how do I make sure these bad boys don't go to waste, right? Yeah. It is generally when you have a problem that you are now starting to think about, well, I should freeze my sperm, but the reality is that you needed them from 10 years ago. How do you enable the shift of a younger generation to care about this?
It's a question we think about all the time. It really comes down to education. It comes down to awareness, right? And so one of the things we did is we brought on celebrity investors. So, Justin Bieber, DJ Khaled, Orlando Bloom, The Weeknd, and so on, because we believe that having higher profile individuals talking about male fertility and sperm is just going to help push the field forward. The second, and I think that Hone already does this excellently, is you want to have high quality, top tier content so that when you are Googling this topic, you are coming across our resources, right? And so the number of times I've Googled something about testosterone or about sperm, and I found our respective articles being the featured snippet on Google, which really is just reflective of the fact that we've built up, a reputation and domain authority over time. So really that education component is extremely important. And you do all of that, and you want to invest in, well, what is the job to be done for people with sperm? Well, at some point they may want to have children. So you make sure that you're tailoring the message. And what matters to a guy at the age of 20 is going to be different than what matters to someone who's 25 or 30 or 35 or 40. And so you have to be very thoughtful about the message that you are sending. And And so we think a lot about how do you target someone who's in their 20s and 30s versus someone who's in their 40s
Yep.
maybe, and might want to have kids sooner rather than later, right? Whether it's with us or elsewhere, you should be doing this. That's one. And for men who are a bit older, what you likely don't know is your sperm, it's a great biomarker of your overall health. Test your sperm, understand your sperm quality. This will tell you, are you broadly speaking living a healthy life? And by the way, your sperm quality is predictive of everything from cardiovascular disease, diabetes, rates of certain types of cancer. I mean, your sperm can actually tell you so much more than you would think, and most men don't know that.
So I do have to ask, now that
Yeah.
you said that,
Yeah.
where do you guys go in the future?